The entire Trump administration, everybody in the White House, everybody that's working around Trump, including Trump himself, obviously, all of them are mentally unstable. And I can say that based solely on one thing that was revealed this week that they decided to do. Earlier this year, they unveiled the so-called Presidential Walk of Fame, which featured gold-framed portraits of every single man that's ever served as President of the United States. So, nice, right? Okay, yeah, here's the people, here's when they served. Perfectly fine, nothing wrong with that. But recently, this mentally disturbed administration decided that's not enough. We need to attack some of these people underneath their official portraits. So they spent money, which I'm assuming obviously is tax dollars. They spent our money to make new plaques to go underneath several of the pictures, including those of Joe Biden and Barack Obama, to include attacks on them by the current President of the United States, Donald Trump. These are actual plaques, right? Enlarged, raised lettering. Somebody engraved these things, and they're now hanging under those portraits. But you might be confused if you ever walk through the Presidential Walk of Fame, because you're not going to actually see President Biden, because they decided to switch out his photo of a picture of an autopen, because, Biden used the autopen all the time, they tell us. So here is what Biden's plaque says about him. First, it says that he was known as both Sleepy Joe and Crooked Joe Biden, without acknowledging the fact that Donald Trump is the guy that came up with those. But it says Sleepy Joe Biden was by far the worst president in American history. Taking office as a result of the most corrupt election ever seen in the United States, Biden oversaw a series of unprecedented disasters and brought our nation to the brink of destruction. Biden was dominated by radical left handlers, and that despite it all, President Trump would get reelected in a landslide and save America. And under Barack Obama's plaque, it now says, one of the most divisive political figures in American history. He's credited with passing the highly ineffective, Unaffordable Care Act and pilloried for presiding over the creation of the Russia hoax, the worst scandal in American history. The worst scandal in American history. A so-called hoax that was actually proven by the Mueller report to be actually quite accurate. Let's not forget that, by the way. Mueller didn't prosecute Trump because he said, listen, the DOJ is not in the business of that, so I'm going to have to give it to Congress, and then you guys can do what you think needs to be done. But there were at least 10 different prosecutable offenses in that final Mueller report. This was not a hoax. It was a thing that actually happened. Maybe not to the degree that some people thought that it happened, but it happened. But here's the thing. Trump obviously had a hand in this because they use his exact language. The staffers had to write it up for him because I don't think Donald Trump is physically capable of holding a pen or pencil. Somebody was given this at the inscribing facility and said, make these plaques. And they said, well, okay. A whole chain of events happened to produce these plaques is the point. Many, many people involved, probably dozens and dozens of people involved in the creation of these petty, vindictive little signs brought to us by President Baby Bitch. Trump is a bitch. I mean, it doesn't matter how you slice it. You cannot look at this pathetic husk of a man and tell me that this is a tough guy. This is the epitome of what a big alpha male dude should be. He is a pansy. He is another word that starts with a P and ends with the E sound. He is a baby. He is a bitch. But most importantly, he's mentally unstable. And so too is every single individual along this chain of command that decided to produce these. And I'm not saying this because I'm mad that they're calling out presidents that were Democrats. I don't care. What I care about is the dignity of the office of the presidency. This is beneath that office. And if you don't think it's beneath that office, then you're trash just like Donald Trump. You belong living in a landfill because you are trash. And I mean that in every literal sense of the word. This has no dignity. This is no class. But most importantly, it's also a waste of our tax dollars at a time when Americans are struggling to eat. And this is what they're spending money on? This is what they thought was a good idea? Not even thinking for a second that really no matter who the next president of the United States is, they're going to rip this crap down. Hopefully, as they're walking on their way to go tear down his new ballroom, they rip all this shit off the walls. At this point, whoever becomes president next just needs to almost burn it all down. Right? Like, let's just start over. Because that is how much Donald Trump has destroyed, figuratively and literally, the office of the President of the United States. Thanks for watching, and if you are not already subscribed to the channel, please do so, and do not forget to like and comment and share widely among your friends.